I got these tulips. That was it. Hello, this is going to be one of my first YouTube videos. Today I'm going to be talking about the book The Prophet by Kahil Gibran. I have two versions of the book. I have the newer version. This is 2023. This is a reprint from 2024. It's a beautiful book. I finished this last night. This is another book that I got after. I got this book for free. Because I recognized it and I was like, oh, that's the Prophet. I had that book. And I was like, well, do I need two? But it was kind of trash, you know? So I really just kept it. This is The Prophet, and this book is from 1984. Like, no, it's from, I don't know how old this is. I'm not sure someone actually wrote this. This is printed. This is 1984. That's what it is. There's this poem, and this is not a poem in the book, but it's just a book I'm going to be mentioning. In the poem, this guy is he's bidding farewell to his lover, and he wishes her joy and pleasure, peace and treasure. So I really like pleasure, but as humans we have a hard time of kind of grasping what pleasure is. Like, I really feel like this book really dropped a little into my life. So let me go to that one pleasure. I'm gonna go to that one pleasure. And it's one. To seek themselves, this introspection, to themselves, they see the world through themselves, and that's just what it is. They don't get to interact with people or the world really. They're really in their room, in their cave, trying to usually heal themselves. When you think about a hermit, it's someone who's been through a lot of pain, and it's not uncommon for pain to be the byproduct of pleasure gone wrong. But what is pleasure gone wrong? And I think this chapter fully encapsulates that. So I'm going to read it. Then a hermit who visited the city once a year came forth and said, "Speak to us of pleasure." And he answered, saying, also, I'm not sure if I'm going to be reading the whole chapter. I might just read like this bit. And he answered, saying, "Pleasure is a freedom song, but it is not freedom. It is the blossoming of your desires, but it is not their fruit. It is a depth calling unto a height, but it is not the deep, nor the high. It is the cage taking wing, but it is not the space encompassed. In the very truth, pleasure is a freedom song." See, okay, so pleasure is a freedom song. I love that. Like, I just love like the whole saying that pleasure is a freedom song. Okay. "And I fain would have you sing it with fullness." I'm gonna say that again. "And I fain would have you sing it with fullness of heart, yet I would not have you lose your hearts in the singing. Some of your youth seek pleasure as if it were all, and they are judged and rebuked. I would not judge nor rebuke them. I would have them seek, for they shall find pleasure, but not her alone. 7 are her sisters, and the least of them is more beautiful than pleasure. Have you not heard the man who was digging the earth for roots and found a treasure? And some of your elders remember pleasures with regret, like wrongs committed in a drunkenness. But regret is the beclouding of the mind and not its chastisement. They should remember their pleasures with gratitude. Let's highlight that. Remember your pleasures with gratitude. As they would the harvest of a summer. Yet, if it comforts them to regret, let them be comforted. And there are among you those who are neither young to seek nor old to remember. And in their fear of seeking and remembering, they shun all pleasures, lest they neglect the spirit or offend against it. But even in their foregoing is their pleasure, and thus they too find a treasure though they dig for roots with quivering hands. But tell me, who is he that can offend the spirit? Shall the nightingale offend the stillness of the night, or the firefly the stars? And shall you flame or your smoke burn in the wind? Okay, I'm not gonna read the rest of it. I mean, this is beautiful to read the rest. There's only a little bit left. But let me bookmark this in case I do want to go back and like read the rest. Okay, so what does it mean? What I took from that, what I think everybody, like, I feel like everybody should really read this. Like, that's not the only good bit. But what I took from that specifically as a young person, when you were growing up, you realize a lot of the stuff that you did. And this, I'm gonna kind of widen what pleasure is, but a lot of the stuff that you do when you're younger, it's to bring you pleasure. But pleasure is just something that makes you feel good or makes you happy. Pleasure is, in a way, the ultimate state of being. Like, to have it, because as humans we have desires, and some desires go unmet, but if you have a desire and you could fulfill that desire, you should. It's your natural body reaction to do that. But I want to bring some nuance to it. Okay, and some examples. Now, say you do something when you're young, and it brought you pleasure. Like, maybe at the time you did something mean, but you did it because it made you feel good. It pleasured you to maybe defend yourself. Or maybe it pleasured you to go out with your friends, disobey your mom. You might look back and be like, oh, gee, why did I do that? But at the end of it, during that time when you did it, you felt pleasure in your being. And I think that's why it's important when he says gratitude. Yes, you should have gratitude for that. But that's when regret comes in. What is regret? Oh, I shouldn't have did that. Like, you're saying is that doesn't bring me pleasure now, so why did it ever bring me pleasure then? But it's not a bad thing to regret things. If it comforts you, regret it. If that's what really comforts you. But I feel like a lot of people only regret because they don't feel that initial gratitude of their past selves. They can't accept their past selves as human. Like, your past self didn't know all the answers or all the perspectives they could have had, right? And that's where gratitude comes in. Gratitude and grace. Now, what does that mean though? Because pleasure, when you think of pleasure, you usually think like, oh, pleasure is nice, but the mainstream embodiment of pleasure is usually sin. Even as he mentioned in the book, like drunkenness, stuff like that. Now, let's say you cheat on your partner, and after you cheat, you're gonna be like, and well, let's be honest, most people cheat and they don't care until they get caught. But some people feel guilty and they have regret or whatever it is. Like, oh, I wish I didn't treat my partner like that. Like, I wish I didn't cheat on them. But why did you do it? At some point, there are some pleasures that outweigh the other pleasure. I feel like that's where regret comes in, because you took a temporary pleasure over a long-term one, and you don't feel the effects of the pleasure that were short-term. You feel the effects long term, like of what you lost, of what you didn't have, which is why it's like, oh well, I did this, and it's just like, okay, you can regret it if that comforts you, but whatever you did, I think you can forgive a lot of your past mistakes and move forward on the future. Because like you're thinking, oh, like why did I do that? You try to change the past, but you already got what you wanted from the past. If you want to regret it, you can regret it, right? But I feel like a lot of that is you don't have to regret every single thing that ever brought you pleasure. That even if it did bring you pleasure today, it wouldn't bring you the pleasure it brought you then, because now you have knowledge. So what do? You just acknowledge that, feel the pleasure all over again. Like, I'm glad that I was able, or that she was able to bring herself pleasure. Like, I'm glad. This disclaimer, I would never cheat on my partner. But people do. And I've never experienced that, had any experiences with that. So I'm leaving that to the people who do. But it sucks, you know? Like, loving, like that could even apply to loving someone. Like, I love someone, they brought me pleasure, but then like they treated me bad. Like, why did I ever love them? Loving them brought you pleasure before you knew the pain. And actually, that goes to the he covers pain in the book, and he says pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Yeah, so I really think with pleasure, I think it's a forefront to moving on in life. Like, how do you move on? Like, from breakups, school, your family, how do you move on from that? Things you love, you remember it brought you pleasure. Keep it in your heart. Regret it if you want to, but accept that it made you feel something. Accept that it's not you anymore. And I feel like once you do that, I think acknowledging the pleasure that something brought you in the past is really going to help you heal from any of your regrets. Now, you can regret it if you want to, if that comforts you, but you don't have to. Like, that really healed something in me, because it's just like, these are so pretty. I want to take this tag off, but it's just like, yeah. Ooh, I feel like this is not going to be pretty. It brought you pleasure. Oh, I put a tulip in there and it's falling over. Let me go get it. See, so I took this tulip out of the thing and I put it in like a basket, and it was standing up tall. And I look over and it's hanging over. Poor baby. I guess like its strength like went out. See, it's opening like a flower. These are my favorite flower. One of my favorites. What should I do with this? Cause oh, it broke. Oh no, it didn't. I don't know, why is it so flimsy? These are flimsy too. Not really. I'm gonna put it back with its friends. Like, see, this is a perfect example of the hermit denying its pleasure. Well, I denied its pleasure by being with people or being with its past selves. Look how it just crumbled and crinkled, and it's just like, save me, and I'm probably not doing any good by trying to showcase it. Let me put it back, and maybe it will never recover. Maybe it will. I don't know. These are just flowers at this point. Okay, but that's why I just wanted to come on here and say about my take. That's my take. That's my take of Kahil Gibran's poem or chapter on pleasure.